where's the real time though? You have um maybe what they get like what 2 or 3 years, maybe 2 or 3 years. And it all comes back to what I'm saying is if you sit back and watch these crazy American citizens do whatever they want to do and don't get them no serious time, then you're going to be hoping on rainbows and hoping on shooting stars that the world just changes, that America just miraculously changes for no reason. No reason for people to change. You gotta have a reason for people to change. Right or wrong, good or bad, you gotta have reasons for people to change. And they're not going to change if things are the same. You have to do something. You have to change in order for them to change. In this context, you want crime to stop? Start giving out harder time. I've been telling you this, guys. You guys, this. Just in case you think this is some new stuff I'm saying or something, go look at my videos. I already had a video telling you this exact thing. I'm on this. I'm about this. Why? And if you don't use selective hearing with me, you will hear I'm already about all of this. I'm about this. 20 years for these crimes that they're doing. 20 years, man. You gang stalking because there's so much in America going on. I'm giving you at least 15 years. You're playing with society like it's a video game. You're acting like an animal, thinking other humans are animals. Like you're a predator animal and they're a prey animal. Yeah, we need to sit you down for 15 years. That's just. Because like I said, they're hoping that you give them the less charge or punishment for their crimes. So if you give them 3 years for all that they've done, you think that's good enough? 3 years. Come on, man, stop playing. 2, 3 years, 4 years for that? They're gonna breeze through that. Okay, you missed 3 Christmas, big deal. You're back on the streets. 15 years. And see, that will change the whole gang stalking community because it's an issue here. If it's an issue, you need to address it with a harder punishment. Like this fentanyl going on. Anybody caught with fentanyl, we sit you down for 15 years too. I know, it's hard game. I'll give you 10 years. People packing fentanyl, 10 years minimum. And I guarantee you, if you think about this new charge of being set down for 10 years for selling this poison, I guarantee you that it'll dry up. But it ain't gonna stop unless you have. You see how it all works? You see what I'm saying? It applies to everything that you're crying about in your society. If you want all this to stop, it's not going to stop waiting for human nature to get better. That's your biggest mistake, America. You're not tough enough. You're not tough enough on the right people. You apply your toughness where it really don't need to be applied. That's why you get judged all the time. Why don't you try turning over a new leaf and making the right people suffer? Why don't you turn over a new leaf, whether people call it racism or profiling or not, when they're still technically doing the crime? Why don't you turn a new leaf and make them be held liable for the technicality of the crime that they did? I'm not talking about anything else. I'm talking about the technicality of shooting kids or senseless crimes or pushing people in front of trains. Why don't you look at that technicality and give a harder blow? Give a harder blow, whether people accept it or not. You got to be tough. You got to be tough on this human nature that's here in America. And if you think 3 to 5 years on all these little crimes out here, or not little crimes, I mean, on all these crimes out here, you think 3 to 5 years is going to be enough? I'm sorry. Human nature is just going to take that. They take that with a smile, man. Take it with a smile. You're giving them less than 10 years. That's already a problem. Yeah. And this ain't against gangsters, because look, here's the punchline. Like I told you, it might sound like an oxymoron, but a gangster is not trying to get no crimes. They're not trying to get no charges. Make sense? So they're really not your problem, because they're not really doing senseless crimes at the end of the day. And that's why they usually start being good with authorities. Hey, he ain't doing nothing. She ain't doing nothing. Gangsters can be, but hey, at the end of the day, we have no reason to lock this person up. Meanwhile, you got knuckleheads pushing people in front of trains. Meanwhile, you got knuckleheads all across the country gangbanging and shooting through walls. But you look at the gangster like the biggest problem. I'm calling it like it is. And see, you can't apply the same pressure to everybody. You can't. You might not like what they're doing, but if I'm gonna keep it 100. If you have no crime, you gotta leave them alone. You got to. You come to the point where you start breaking up that person's constitutional rights. You ain't got no crime. So what you gonna do? You're gonna badger a gangster that you can't catch, but you're not badgering these gangbangers and these people, these lowlifes, pushing people in the front of trains, man. How you get so low in your life you start pushing people in front of trains, bruh? And I done been homeless. I took it like a man. I ain't harmed nobody out there because I'm homeless. Taking it out on somebody. You can never say you can go to any city I ever lived in. If I was homeless there, I acted as a real homeless man. You know what that means? A man that's only focused on, or a woman that's only focused on the meal for the day, maybe some cigarettes, or some vices that you do that doesn't really harm anybody. Only really harming you. That's all they're gonna be doing. Cause see, good place to make another point. You got on the streets homeless people and drug addicts and alcoholics too. And you gotta differentiate the homeless man or homeless woman that only is trying to feed themselves and bathe themselves daily. That's a bona fide homeless person. Not these people out here begging all the time. All the time? Okay, I can see you desperate a couple of days and you need some help. Got it. But all your mission at all times is to take the money that these nice people give you and take it and go drug it up. And you lying to them on top of that, you're not the same as a homeless man or woman. We have to differentiate this. A real homeless person is a person that is trying to get the basic needs they need for the day, which is food and clothing. Food and bathing. Food and bathing is really what bona fide homeless people are thinking about. And you see somebody move like that, that's how I moved. That's a homeless person. Not someone that's pushing people in front of trains. How you get off of your agenda of washing your butt and getting a decent meal? See, we got off track with real homeless people, and that's why I am I'm I don't give them just no 100% pass because you on the streets. No, because if you're on drugs and that's why you're on the streets, then you're a homeless drug addict. I'm keeping it 100. I'm not trying to make a joke. You are by definition, if that's what drugs that you did, by defining your activity, you got on the streets because you couldn't keep a job, you couldn't keep an apartment, you couldn't keep nothing because you was giving it all to the drug man. You are not a homeless person. Homelessness is a byproduct of your drug addiction. You see the difference? Homelessness is a byproduct of your drug addiction. So you're homeless, in other words, because you're a drug addict. Keep it 100. And you're giving, and you Americans are giving more to them than real bona fide homeless people. Bona fide homeless person telling you, yeah, I need a motel. You looking at them like, boy, you ain't getting no motel money. I know you about to drink that up. You don't give us the benefit of the doubt. You don't give us the benefit of the doubt. You don't. Because of drug addicts. I'm keeping it real. The drug addicts messed up the whole support that this country should be giving to homeless people. 10 cars pass by, you should at least give him a couple dollars. Now he got $20. Boom. That's his meal right there. 10 cars that pass at a red light. I used to stand at the red light and do that. 10 cars pass by, you give them $2. How that's hurting you? $2, 10 people, that's $20 already. So food is covered for the night. Boom. Now that person works that for hours. That same $2 method for hours or format for hours. That's a motel room in a southern city. Now you got over $100. Now you can get a motel for the night. You see how easy it could be? But drug addicts, we got to define all these people. They're another people we got to define too. Yeah, you saying you're cloaked as a homeless person with your flagging to cars. You're cloaking yourself as homeless. Okay? You're cloaking yourself as homeless. But your only intention and your deepest intentions foundationally is to get high. Now, okay, even the times when I would drink and I would smoke, I would be respectable and honorable enough to myself to put my meal first. If I'm telling people I'm hungry, I'm going to put my meal first. Now, whatever I have left over, you should consider that leftovers. That's how I move. I don't go and say, oh yeah, I'm going to go give me a fifth. And you hungry. And unfortunately in our country, man, you can be somebody out there and you got a place to stay. And hey, an empty place don't make you have a meal. An empty place doesn't make you have the things you would want. Okay? So people look at, well, that person got a place to stay. Hey, we still have needs. Here's the bottom line. Everybody asks for help for sometimes. Just don't abuse the principle. Okay, you got a couple of dollars off and you got a place to stay. You went out and asked your community. You didn't take it. At least you didn't take it. Let's keep it. Now that's a different type of homeless person too. I mean, a type of person that asks for money too. Hey, they're not taking it. and they got a place to stay. You got to remember that part too. And they're not taking. They're not robbing nobody. When you see a young man, I'm keeping 100. You see a young man asking, I got to kind of look at that because he could be taken. A young man that can run, all you got to do to be a robbing criminal mainly is running. If you can rob somebody and run away, you can rob people. And that person's not doing that. He's asking. So there's different definitions, but at the end of the day, as far as that goes on the streets, man, long as you're not abusing it in some form or fashion, okay? Every once in a while, yeah, some people might come out, they got a place to stay. Hey, I need a pack of cigarettes. It's their vice. They ain't, as long as they not, this is my thing, as long as they not asking, saying, oh, I need a meal, or I don't have no food, can you give me some money? If they stepping out their apartment saying, can you give me a couple dollars? Hey, that could be a person easily at the subway. You got a place to stay, but you need a couple dollars for whatever it is. Like, I feel like it comes down to, okay, long as you're not lying to someone and you're just asking and they're not putting pressure on you to define it, they're not defining it, then that should not be a problem. It should be the people that shouldn't give to you are people that only want to support you having food. But that's not the only people. Some people say, hey, here's a couple dollars for something to smoke, and especially if they smoked before, they may say, here's a couple dollars for something to even drink. And some people would tell you, hey, I want to get a beer. I'm being honest with you. I want to get a beer, and I'm not lying. I don't want a meal. I want to get a beer. Now, I don't have, that's cool with me. And see, I step out. If I do, I will have that same honesty. Okay. And if I'm not asking you for food, then you shouldn't have no problem with me asking you for $1 or $2, because I didn't ask you for food. Okay, so if you're giving me $1 and you didn't define what you wanted, what I'm doing with it, then you shouldn't have a problem when you gave me $1. You shouldn't have a problem with me asking. And some people do. Some people do have a problem with it. But it comes down to, like I said, not lying. And if you ain't put if you the type of person, you can't speak for everybody, because some people will give people a couple dollars for some cigarettes. You don't, but some people will. So you can't speak for everybody. You can't say it's trifling. You can't say that. And honestly, some people give people money for anything. They don't care. So speak for yourself. And when you do see a homeless person, speak for yourself. Say, I want to give for this or that. Is that okay with you? I'm asking you, do you need a meal? Even buy the person a meal. You say you want something to eat. Okay, I go take you to get something to eat. You be that type of person. Okay, so you cover that person's meal for the day. Okay. Now there may become some cool person around, they just like have understanding that they do the same things. They smoke cigarettes or whatever. They may go buy you a pack. They're doing the same thing. It's just a different circumstance. So they see you in that circumstance and say, hey, it's all good. Yo, here's a couple of cigarettes. And you can't define everybody on that situation, because you have some people say, oh, these people out here and they ain't got no intention of it. Well, that's you. There's some other people that's been in their situation and so on, and they understand and they give out. They give back. And that's what I'm saying. But back to, so you know that part. But back to differentiating, okay? Because now up to date, you got a homeless man now pushing a woman in front of a train, pushing that Asian woman in front of the train. I mean, man, That's just crazy. And that happened less than a year ago. The Asian woman actually advocated for help for homeless people sleeping in the subway and not when it's cold. She advocated. That same Asian woman advocated for that, and she shelled out thousands of dollars for homeless cause. And he pushed that woman. Man, I hate to be that guy. Boy, his karma's gonna be bad. Yeah, his karma's gonna be bad, whether he's in his right mind or not. Because y'all quick to say, well, he crazy. And so, hey, crazy people got to pay the price too. And it comes full circle. Because, hey, what we going to do? Let all these people out because they on medication? They manipulate that. They send out people that's crazy, and they know they ain't going to get no real charge. We can't allow none of that. You was sound enough to know that you was taking and shooting guns at people. You knew that much. And that's all we trying to prosecute anyway. We don't care about your mental health. We're trying to prosecute the part of you that knew you was picking up a gun and shooting it. Right or wrong. And that level, that lane right there is around, it's in most cases, it has nothing, mental sickness cannot, I'm gonna say it like this: mental sickness cannot take the full responsibility of when people are out here killing and shooting. I'm sorry. Nah. Unfortunately, we all, whether we sound or minded or not, if you out here going out here shooting and physically shooting people, not to defend yourself from many people. You're out here trying to defend, you're out here hurting people for no apparent reason. You got to get 20 years, man. You got to get 20 years. I'm sorry. It's just no, we got to give no compassion and have no emotion when it comes to things like, we have to suppress our emotion when it comes to bringing those type of individuals to justice. Okay, you can feel sorry for them. They can be pretty women. I'm sorry. I have to suppress my emotional side and put you in prison where you need to be. Because out here, it still is, at the end of the day, why it's functioning, it still is a community. And that right there, we don't need anybody, in other words, interacting with this person. That's how you define whether a person needs to be on the streets or not. Can they interact with other people? That part. So you can't halfway interact with nobody the proper way. You need to be off the streets. Bottom line. Speaking community-wise, you don't need to be here. We need you away. And so sometimes we badger the wrong person, and we don't badger the people that need to be badgered or punished. If you out here and you done killed innocent babies that didn't even have a chance to live, and you done lived and enjoyed your life and everything, and you deny a human being of that, to enjoy life, to grow up, to live, to get married, and do the things people do. Nah, man. What if that was your family? What if that was my son? And somebody just took their life and they get to live, they get to go and get 3 meals, wash their butt in a cot for 5 years and something like that. No, nuh-uh. You need 20 years. And you know I'm right. That number is right. You know I'm right. 20 years, man. Because that 5 years, 6 years stuff, At the end of the day, I'm keeping 100. That's what people taking advantage of. They doing whatever they want to do, and that's black, white, whatever, and it don't hurt them. That doesn't hurt a person that kills somebody. You giving them 5 years. So is it police reform that we need? Well, we need both, but or is it that we need hardcore, a new day in all the charges and the laws? We need a whole new day. A whole new day in laws. All of them. All of them. That's the problem. The laws are the problem. If you give these guys something they can roll off their back like water off a duck back, man, come on, man. What you think? Think as you as a human. Oh, I'll just get this amount of time. That's what most people gonna think. Like I'm telling you, it'll be a sense of relief more than a punishment if a person takes a person's life and then get what? 5 years? That's a sigh of relief. But not 20. You see hardcore criminals break down. Go look on YouTube. When somebody got life in prison. They sitting there cool at first. You shouldn't be cool at all from what you've done. But they sitting there cool until, guess what? They know they got life in prison. Boom. Grown thug killers that done took somebody's life, crying like a baby. Crying like a baby. Because it hurt, it stung, it burned. It burned. Go look on YouTube. You see people all the time. Go look at it. Go look the response of criminals getting charges. Breakdown. Just a minute ago, you was Leroy Brown, baddest man in the whole darn town. Badder than you and me. You was good old Leroy Brown at first. Now you got life in prison. Now Leroy Brown done reduced down to a college girl crying and bawling. Just a minute ago, you was the baddest man in the whole town. So I conclude, man, that you can't change human nature. You can't change the human mentalities out here. It's nothing you can do about the mentalities that's out here. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do. The only thing you can do is give them a harder time. And some people may consider that because of the justice system and the criminal system or the judicial system that has been truly racist at times. A lot of people wouldn't trust, they get skeptical. But at the end of the day, let's talk outside of racism. Because what I personally believe is a gangbanger, and that's not a gang member, a gangbanger, someone shooting everywhere, doing 187s. That person is worse to black community than a racist man that sits in his house and minds his business. You can't change that man. He's a racist man, and you ain't gonna change him. Bottom line. But is he killing your kids? So you rather get rid of someone that doesn't like you or hate you, and that has no effect on you. I'm talking about on everyday level. I'm not talking about racist people in the government. On everyday level, how is that hurting you? That he's racist. He's minding his business. For whatever reason, he don't deal with you. Now, you have a gangbanger that you done been to cookouts with, playing spades with. That part. Oh, talking all the stuff that you want to hear about the world and all that kind of thing, but then comes around and kills someone of African blood. Can you tell me a racist is worse than him? Man, because at the end of the day, ain't nothing worse than taking children's lives at the end of the day. And you don't have no white people really doing that. In fact, all the millions of racist white people are not killing you. I'm going to tell you who's killing you. All these guys down the street from you. That's who's killing your community. And you can be biased about this reality, or you can accept it. I personally don't care. I'm a realist. And that is reality. There's millions of white racist people. But at the end of the day, they're not killing your kids. You want me to tell you who's killing your kids? These million of these gangbangers all over the country, everywhere. Even in cities where it ain't even no gangbanging at. Ain't no gangs there. And there's gangbanging and all these. Look at these little towns they starting to gangbang at. Y'all got one stoplight and an ice cream shop, and you going to the mall and shooting everybody like you live in a big city. See, that's what I'm saying. You got one pizza joint in your community. No drugs, really.